folks, and welcome to SportsCenter. I'm Bob, and this is Bob.
Thanks, Bob. Tonight's special edition of SportsCenter looks at the knockout round of the FIFA World Cup. At this point in the tournament, there are 16 teams left, and we're about to show you how those 16 teams reach the qualifying round. Now let's look at the group stage. In Group A, Uruguay and Mexico advanced with 7 and 4 points respectively. In Group B, Argentina and South Korea advanced with 9 and 4 points. The United States and England advanced with 5 points each out of Group C. In Group D, Germany and Ghana advanced with 6 and 4 points. Group E, the Netherlands and Japan with 9 and 6 points. Paraguay and Slovakia out of Group F with 5 and 4 points. Brazil and Portugal with 7 and 5 points out of Group G. And Group H, Spain and Chile with 6 points.
We have a very competitive group of 16, which makes the knockout round difficult to predict. Let's see what the average Joe has to say. Over to you, Veronica.
Thanks, Bob Squared. I'm here on the Macalester campus interviewing some regular students about who they think is going to win the World Cup. So what's your name?
Nick.
Nick, who do you think's going to be the champion this year?
Ghana.
And why do you say that?
I don't know anything about soccer, but I just choose Ghana.
And here we have
Colin.
Colin, who do you think's going to win the World Cup?
Brazil.
Number one choice, is that, do you have any special reason?
Just because they're really good.
Do you have a favorite player?
Ronaldinho when he did play.
Fair enough, thank you very much. And what's your name?
Maddie.
Maddie, who do you think's going to win the World Cup?
The Netherlands.
Why the Netherlands?
Because they're a really cool country.
Why does that determine a soccer game?
Because they haven't won for a while, so I think it's about time.
Do you pick teams based on colors?
No.
Okay, thank you very much. And who do you think's going to win the World Cup?
America.
Wise choice, but why?
Because we're Americans.
Reasoning's a little bit flawed, but I like it. And what's your name?
My name's Kyle Hamlet.
Kyle Hamlet. Who do you think's going to win the World Cup?
I think the Netherlands is going to win.
That's the third person we've asked who thinks the Netherlands are going to win. Why a big fan of the Netherlands?
Well, the orange is a pretty big intimidation factor, first off. They also are probably the most aggressive team in the tournament right now. So, yeah, I think they got a good shot at winning.
Okay, an analysis with colors and actual facts. Looks like this will be an interesting round. So are you a soccer fan?
Yeah.
Do you call it football?
Soccer's good.
So who do you think's going to win the World Cup?
The Netherlands.
What's this big fan wave with the Netherlands?
They're the best team in the world, so they should win.
But they're not number one.
Well, I mean, soccer's like that. Sometimes the best team's not always number one.
Really good observation. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Veronica. Is there another way to predict the World Cup outcome? Perhaps mathematically?
In fact, Bob, there actually is. We put together a group of well-rounded statisticians and mathematicians from around the world to work on this problem together. What we did is we first gathered the data given to us by the FIFA organization, their world rankings, and then after calculating their world rankings, we determined a game-by-game probability for each possible matchup. So for example, if Brazil and Spain were to play each other, the way we computed it was we did the difference between the two rankings, the absolute value of the difference between the two rankings, and then added 50 to it. So for example, Spain and Brazil, number 1 and 2 ranked teams, according to FIFA, 2 minus 1 is 1. 50 plus 1 is 51. So now it's a 51 to 49 odds in favor of the higher ranked team, which would be Brazil.
So you're saying that you gave North Korea an actual chance to win a game?
Really? In fact, North Korea did not actually make it out of the group stage, but I'm pretty sure you mean South Korea.
No, there's a North Korea in there.
In the group stage, not in the
Right,
qualifying stage.
You had, really? South Korea?
Yeah. So the way we computed it is that we know
So you're
that
saying Kim Jong-il did not defeat America?
no, but there is a chance that he might.
Okay.
However, after we gathered all this data, we then created some R code with the help of our statisticians and inputted it into a Monte Carlo simulation to determine our results. Bob, do you know what a Monte Carlo simulation is?
No, but I know where Monte Carlo is.
Okay, now we'll send it over to Veronica Corningstone, who has interviewed a couple of the highly ranked statisticians on how a Monte Carlo simulation actually works, so she can better tell us, average Americans, how it works.
With no mathematical background.
Fair?
I'm here with the ESPN statisticians who ran our Monte Carlo simulation. After several hours of explanations, I now understand what a Monte Carlo simulation is. Basically, if you have a probability that's too complicated to calculate, a Monte Carlo simulation will allow you to estimate the probability. If you were to say, set up a bracket in R and run the simulation numerous times. In our case, we want to calculate the probability of Spain winning the World Cup. So we have written the R code in whatever computer they use, and they will run the simulation numerous times. For us, apparently the correct number is 10,000, and from that we will get the amount of times Spain wins randomly after the bracket is run through randomly, and that will be the percentage chance that they will win. I should also mention that because the Monte Carlo only gives estimates and not actual probabilities, that there is error in our predictions. And I do believe there are errors in our Monte Carlo estimates. So our margin of error for Spain was plus or minus less than 1%, so still a fairly accurate prediction. I hope that helps your understanding back in the studio.
I mean, I guess I understand that. But let's see how the simulation went, huh?
Absolutely.
So, after running the simulation, Spain continually won. How did that happen?
Well, Bob, I mean,
Like, Brazil is supposed to win. It says so in the rankings. Like, isn't that how probability works?
see, Bob,
Isn't the basic probability how you're going to win?
that's where you're slightly mistaken. The one thing that our simulation does calculate and take into consideration is the road that takes to get to the finals and to win. Now, with that said, Spain may have an easier road to the finals than does Brazil, or they probably play more games against lower ranked opponents, where, as we mentioned earlier, the closer teams are ranked, the more even of a chance it is for either team to win.
Disagree.
Okay, so first here, I'll try and explain in a little more detail. We made a couple assumptions. First, we assume that every 16 teams, all of the 16 teams advanced out of group play each time we ran the simulation. So our 16 were the same 16 in the same spot in the bracket every single simulation. And second, we assume that each match is independent of all the other matches. By this we mean that the outcome of previous matches have no impact on the outcome of future matches. So we can't measure confidence, we can't measure fatigue, we can't measure those things with our simulation. However, it does turn out to be pretty effective.
So you ran your simulation on your iPhone and you expect me to buy that?
We ran
Really?
it on a more advanced computer.
All I see is the iPhone. I don't see another computer in this
Okay,
room.
this is a fantastic iPhone here. Don't be hating.
Disagree. Good morning, folks. Okay. Good morning, folks, and welcome to another edition of Sports Center. This is my colleague, Bob, and I am Robert.
Thanks, Robert. So remember way back when we ran that simulation, that Monte Carlo simulation about the World Cup?
Yeah.
Remember the one where you were kind of really confused about?
I mean, I guess I remember that one.
Okay, well now we're going to take a look at our results and compare those to the actual results of the World Cup. Remember you mentioned that you thought, why wasn't Brazil going to win the World Cup, correct?
Yeah, they're the greatest team on earth.
Okay, well, turns out Spain won the World Cup. If you haven't noticed the parades in Barcelona and Madrid. But anyways.
Thanks.
So, it turns out that our simulation was actually accurate. Spain did come out on top in our simulation. When we ran our simulation, Spain came out on top close to 16% of the time, which was the most out of any team in the world, or in the 16 left in the elimination round. What this does tell us, though, is that the World Cup can be predicted mathematically.
I mean, there was only one real experiment, so who really knows that was accurate?
I mean, Spain did win.
take all your math and shove it somewhere.